Shy Yeti.
Hello, Moses.
How are you? Hope you're fine. This is the Shy Yeti show.
Okay, where you go?
Why have I got a voice?
Oh no.
Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Oh, there's gonna be some drama ahead.
All I wanted was a pie, and then I hatched out of an egg.
Okay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep?
Oh, your show's getting so international, Paul.
Boy, he's not all that shy as bright.
Such a relief.
Blimey, Governor. It's the Shy Life Podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Shy 786. Get it?
I don't know how he's done it.
786.
Get it? Get it?
786.
Bonjour et bienvenue au podcast de Shy Life.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to another Chubb's Gone Wild. Oh wait, no, sorry.
It's my show. He's stolen my show, David. Let me compose myself. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Shy Life Podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing? I'm all right. So what are we going to be doing this episode? Well, we are going to be talking to DJ and Matt, the co-hosts of Matinee Minutiae, for their new season. Well, it's for season 7. It's not their new season 7 because they're almost about to start season 8 and probably will have done by the time this gets released. But anyway, let's run that theme music. When we come back, we'll say hello to the guys and talk about the films that they've been discussing in their most recent season. Run that theme music.
Darling, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
My favorite person is me.
Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Yes, but it's supposed to be painful. The highlight, the Shy Life.
Go Shy Yeti.
I'll go anyway from the face.
Hello, Captain. How are you?
Oh, I never find out my secret. Yes, he has.
I love the Yeti test. It's my favorite thing.
If you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Yeah, I'm strangely drawn to Yeti Uncle John's ankles as well.
I could eat my body weight in crisps.
Has anyone seen my hot sausage?
It's all gooey and meaty and yum, 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 yum.
It was enormous.
I don't think I'm ready to speak about it. It's been a while.
Here comes the grizzly.
It's the Shy Life Podcast.
I can't wait for it to begin.
That's right, I'm just being an alien. I like that.
Hi there.
Marvelous. Marvelous.
Oh, looking back, no, nothing about anything.
Hey, we're back. Hey, DJ, what, and Matt, hello.
Well, hello there. I could just barely see you through these binoculars. Our boss, our landlady, she hasn't been very good at cleaning lately, but I could just see you on the horizon.
And I'm here, and you're there, and I can't believe another year has passed since we you've got a new look to the Matinee Minutiae this season.
We do. After doing some wandering around, we ended up in this old video store, and it actually happens to be the last video store by some roll of the dice. And well, you'll learn more about that as we move to our new season. But we're actually trapped in time, so that's how we get to be in a video store that's still open.
That sounds like Saffron Steel. Are you Saffron Steel? Do you know who Saffron Steel are?
Oh, I do, but which one of us would look better as a blonde?
And I'll let you decide which of you have blue eyes, if either.
I'm so glad that old college buddy of mine came through. It's too bad his dad went to prison, though. Oh well, at least I'll have a place to stay for a while. Who knew llamas could get so aggressive when you ignore their advances? That one almost nibbled my ear off in my sleep. I guess I'd better pull over soon. Missed breakfast and haven't eaten since last night. Donna Sue's Biscuit Basket. Next exit, huh? Well, if the parking lot isn't full, it's another gas station smorgasbord for me, I suppose.
Welcome to the Biscuit Basket. What can I start you off with?
I'll have coffee with skim and Splenda.
This isn't Star Schmucks. There's a dish of packets on the table. Here's your menu.
I'm glad Kirk got that old movie projector from the high school to work. Now the drive-in can reopen on schedule.
Hey, aren't they showing that 80s sci-fi movie with JR's mistress and the guy from Spencer for Hire?
Yeah, I still have the VHS, but there's just something special about seeing it on the big screen. Okay, well, I'll see you tonight. Bye. You keep staring at me any harder, stranger, and you're going to give me a full-blown complex. You want something?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's DJ, and I'm new in town. Did I hear you say there's a drive-in that's reopening?
Well, welcome to the armpit of hell, DJ. I'm Matt, and you heard right.
That's so cool. I love drive-ins. I'm a bit of a movie nut.
Me too. My mama used to run the local video store. Leastwise till Blockbuster came along. Damn big city folk.
Oh man, you must have watched a lot of movies.
I can't tell you how many movies I've seen with that crawler that reads for promotional use only on it every 5 minutes.
Hey, I'd love to hear more about the drive-in.
Sure. Grab a seat. I'll fill you in.
Please join us as the adventures continue. Matinee Minutiae Road Tour Edition premieres Friday, September 20th, with new episodes to be released on the first and third Fridays of most months. View our recording sessions on YouTube. Join our Discord to leave us feedback or start a conversation on your favorite film or television show.
I suppose we should get cracking because we always end up talking more at the start of the season than having to rush the end. So let's get going. Your first film of season 7 is called The Ice Pirates. Is that right? From 1984.
Yeah.
A sci-fi comedy starring Robert Urich and Mary Crosby. I don't think I know this one.
You should. Robert Urich was just yummy.
This was quite a fun one because, I don't think I had seen it before recent years. I didn't see it when it came out originally, obviously, but I was introduced to this by my husband because it was the first night that we were at his mom's house. She was getting ready to sell her place, and we went to one of the video stores that was going out of business, and we bought an affordable copy. So we were able to sit down and watch that in the back room. But it has a lot of 80s culture in it, and especially if you consider that the 80s was all about big hair. The biggest trophy for big hair was a soap opera on TV called Dallas, and the Ice Pirates has Mary Crosby, who's a cousin, or actually was the aunt of Denise Crosby from Star Trek: The Next Generation. So they share some blood there. But Mary Crosby played Sue Ellen's sister on Dallas, so she's actually the one who shot JR back in the 80s.
This was your choice, DJ? Did you know this film already, Matt?
No, I'd never heard of it, and there's probably a reason for that. So this was definitely a DJ pick, and I had to look high and low and finally rent it, and I still enjoyed it though. I like these 80s movies. We ended up bouncing around the 80s quite a bit this season, and I love movies like this, little lost treasures. Not saying that they're the best treasures. There's not much in the actual chest but they're still fun.
I mean, we all eventually clean under our beds and
and then we find VHSs of this and go, what is that?
I see your next choice was also an 80s film, The Telephone from 1988. Who chose that one?
Well, hello there, dear listeners. It is I, DJ Starsage, and I have been brought out to, somewhere interesting looking here. Matt has asked me to meet him outside this building that doesn't look like it's open. Matt, was this a restaurant or something?
Yeah, back in, the 80s, before the botulism outbreak in town. But, it's just don't touch anything.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, let's get inside before it starts raining. You got to get your keys there? Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot of keys, collected them. Got to have these for work. Yep. Okay, watch the rat. Sorry.
Oh, hey. Okay.
You leave them alone, they'll leave you alone.
Oh, well, just don't go naming them on me.
Joey, and Louie, girl.
Well, over there looks like a good place to sit down. I'm gonna dust off this old bench here. Okay, so as you heard the last time we got together, our first episode of the new season of Matinee Minutiae, a road tour edition, I have traveled out here to the heartland, and I'm just spending a little bit of time, trying to lay low there because they might be trying to put the hurt on me for the rent at the theater there, but. Anyways, Matt has been kind enough to let me hang out with him as he's showing me around town, and we're going to be talking about a movie from the 80s, Matt. What movie did you say we were talking about again?
Well, today, you and, whoever you're talking to, we're going to watch The Telephone.
Oh, and that was a Whoopi Goldberg movie, wasn't it?
1988 Whoopi Goldberg, and it's an absolutely amazing look into, how just an actor's piece. I mean, she carries pretty much the entire movie by herself.
It's almost a bit of a one-woman show. I mean, some others do show up after a while, but we will get this discussion underway, and here comes the opening of the show. What do you get
when two movie
and TV nerds
wander aimlessly through dead malls, movie theaters, and drive-ins,
and talk about
their favorite shows along the way?
It's time
for Matinee Minutiae
with your hosts, DJ
and Matt. I chose that one. I love this film. It's a Whoopi Goldberg, it's basically a one-woman movie, except they kind of threw in some other characters, so maybe they'd get enough people to come watch it for them. yeah, this they originally wanted like Robin Williams and to play this part, and he said, "Ha, no." So Whoopi got it, and she just killed this role. It's this whole psychological thing where you think it's going one way, and all of a sudden you're like, "Whoa, I didn't see that coming." So
Yeah,
yeah,
especially
very fun.
especially when she's talking on the telephone the entire movie, and it doesn't occur to you whether or not there's actually anyone on the other end of the line.
Right. Yeah. Just like, wow, that's powerful. But it just proves that she's such a commanding actress that, I mean, she just can carry a role by herself, like for practically the entire movie.
That's cool. The next film is also an 80s movie. Battery's Not Included. Another sci-fi comedy with Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy. It's a Steven Spielberg production. Whose choice was this?
Mine. And you can't get a more charming older couple than Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy. I mean, just a handful of years before, they had teamed up on Cocoon for the first time in a while. They hadn't done a movie in 5 or 10 years at the time, and Batteries Not Included is such a terrific film for people to experience, just because the characters that they're playing are still young at heart. You see the things that they fell in love to. They still like the same music that they used to enjoy, and this building that they're living in is falling apart, but it's sort of a representation of life. Their lives aren't the neatest and most organized things, but they make do, and the whole story is about how they're about to lose the place that they live in. They're about to lose their home, and everybody else thinks that's replaceable, but they have all these memories there.
Right. And on top of it, it's also one of the first movies like this that really went into, like, Jessica Tandy's character was losing her memory, and she was starting to deal with the onset of, like, Alzheimer's. And so, but you know what? It turned out that I don't think it really was Alzheimer's. I think it was a lot of trauma-induced memory loss from things that happened when they were younger. But this is very much a quintessential 80s movie, because one of the great themes about 80s movies like this is that you had people that had an indomitable spirit, going through a lot of horrible stuff, and then at the end you just have this wonderful, like, you know, miracle that happens, and everybody ends up happy and better, and a little sci-fi thrown in. That's always good. Yeah.
And for one thing, being still the 80s, I mean, it's 88 that this movie came out, but still being the 80s, there were fairly conservative values being thrown about on both sides of the pond at the time. And here you have a movie with a woman who's Hispanic and a man that's not the father of her child, and they're going to be a couple. So, you know, the whole story of this just embraces that diversity, and it's just not really spoken about. Jessica Tandy's character accepts this woman and says, you know, all these loving things to her about, you're going to love being a mother. She doesn't question, you know, where's the father? It doesn't matter. He's not here. She's not going to talk about that.
Right.
Well, the film you did after that is the earliest one at this point that you did this season. It's Bedknobs and Broomsticks from 1971, which I must have seen at some point, but I haven't seen for a long time.
But I remember as a kid watching this, and I was traveling with some friends. We were going to the Smithsonian, I think, at the time, for the Star Trek 25th anniversary exhibit. But this one friend of mine, who may have actually been pagan or Wiccan, was saying to me, because I was quoting lines from the movie and I was repeating one or two of the spells allegedly, and she's like, "You shouldn't be saying those words if you don't know what they mean."
Yes, there is that there is that thought, true, but yeah.
But yes, so substitutionary locomotion, and I can tell you that the words to that fateful spell is Triguna Macoides Tricorum Sanctus D. When they were looking for the words to the spell, they had a book that had been torn apart, and as we mentioned, in part of their journey, they went to this fantasy island. Well, not the one from the TV show, but
the plane.
From a children's story book. And in the end, this is sort of a spoiler, when they lost the object with the spell on it. How did they find the words again, Matt?
Well, the little book that they had that the little kid had kleptoed through the whole movie and all that other stuff, he's like, well, I had the words right here. Nobody would listen to him. He's like, I know the spell. The whole time he's like, I know the spell. And they're like, no, shut up. We don't know. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a kid. And then finally he's like, here it is. It's like, you could have saved us that whole middle part with all those cartoons if you had just shown that book. But anyway, so he had it all along.
I mean, I don't know if this were done today, if it would be any better, because I don't know if people are more used to paying attention to children or not.
I don't know, but back then it really was kind of like oh, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I'll do.
Yeah, as I say, children should be seen and not heard, is what they used to say.
Well, I still believe that, but that's another story.
How much of the Halloween candy are you keeping for yourself?
Oh, lights out, Netflix in the bedroom, doorbell disconnected. No, that's my candy.
Whose choice was that?
I think that one was mine. It was we wanted to add some things that were a little bit more, to go along with our holiday season over here and everything. So that just fit right into our Halloween theme, and it's just such a wonderful movie that I've only seen like 3 or 4 times, but just love it. It has so many good themes, like, fighting Nazis. That's a great theme, especially, something we need to be reminded of these days. Yeah.
Of course, it has Angela Lansbury.
Absolutely.
And David Tomlinson, who I remember best from Mary Poppins. I know my mum recently read I don't know if it's an autobiography, but certainly a biography of David Tomlinson, because although he's not the most famous actor, he has quite an interesting story, sort of a little bit tragic in places. But I know my mum doesn't usually go out of her way to buy sort of biographies and things, but she must have read an article about him, and she definitely enjoyed his book. Yeah, it sort of reminds me of Mary Poppins in a way. I mean, completely different story, but that same sort of, it would be a good companion piece, I think, if you showed them back to back.
Well, that and for its time, not only did Mary Poppins have the enormity of the animation, but Bedknobs and Broomsticks continued that sort of spirit, because there's quite a lot of the animation in Bedknobs and Broomsticks when they disappear to this, fantasy-oriented land. And my husband is quite a film enthusiast, and he will tell you that that was a period of filmmaking where it predates green screen or CGI that we do nowadays. It was called sodium dissolve or something like that. But they use a special process to make the actors appear, in different surroundings. They didn't use computers back then. It was all by hand, but,
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with, I guess from about the same time, what they were doing with with Doctor Who, less successfully with green screen. But although these days, when you see what they do, they just seem to be in a big green room with none of the things that you see on the screen around.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think that must take away a lot of the fun of the acting when you're really not acting with half the things that. But they do their best. Mm-hmm. Now, your next film from 1991, Stepping Out, is the first on your list that I've definitely seen, and it's in a way it's relatively obscure. I can't remember what it was that. It might be one of the actors in it. It's got Liza Minnelli and Shelley Winters in it, but I think there might be somebody else in it who I read an autobiography of, and they mentioned this film, and I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. It's sort of set at a dance school. Is that right? My memory's right there. Mm-hmm. It's a musical comedy, and I enjoyed it. But why did you pick this one?
I think that was my choice, and I think that I found it in one of those bargain bins at the store. I saw it laying on this pile of movies, and I'm like, this is a movie with Liza in it, and I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, he just the whole time we were doing this movie, he was just like Liza. He can't. He loves Liza so much. He kept breaking into song about Liza with a Z. It was just. It was crazy.
There were actually, we didn't discuss it, but on a side note, there was a pretty terrific recent movie about, not Liza herself, but Judy, that was done. And I'm forgetting who the actress was, but anyways.
I'm looking at the cast list, wondering if it would give me any clues. I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't see it because Julie Walters is in it.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
that's probably it.
The director of Stepping Out, Lewis Gilbert, also did Educating Rita with Julie and Shirley Valentine, as well as 3 James Bond films, which is kind of quite a different vibe. Yeah.
I was very glad that DJ put this on the list because I hadn't seen it since, I don't know, it probably came to VHS, and it was wonderful to get to watch it again and realize how many wonderful performers that are in it, and some that we don't even necessarily know by name, but we know them by face, and it was really great to see.
I feel like I don't even know that I was able to get a physical copy. I feel like I must have downloaded it from on Prime or something. I think it is the Julie Walters connection. That probably Julie Walters and Liza Minnelli. That's an interesting combination.
Brilliant, yeah.
What stood out to me most about Stepping Out was that for an early 90s film, Liza's character in it, or at least Liza herself, had her own input in the story. Because there's a moment in the progression of the story where it's clear that one of her students, because it's a dance class, one of her students might have an unhappy home life. There might be some abuse going on. And it's just kind of refreshing to see something like that in a movie where you just expect it to be glossed over because this is a night school. But then again, Liza's character was a woman who was being ignored and taken advantage of. Her boyfriend gets another job, and he just expects her to automatically go with her.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also Julie Walters' character, who is just, drives everyone nuts. And then finally you find out that actually she just has a really horrible home life and, is able to go to these to escape herself and learn to be somebody that you could like.
And if nothing else, the standout reveal from Stepping Out will make you want to watch it. Julie Walters' character has a husband who is dating her daughter, who's his stepdaughter. He goes out on all of these affairs with his young stepdaughter and leaves her home. That's her terrible home life.
Yeah.
I remember being quite surprised. Liza Minnelli has a sort of bizarre Doctor Who connection in that she's best friends with an actress called Katie Manning, who played Jo Grant, who was one of John Pertwee's main companion. I believe they knew each other from drama school. I only found this out because we used to have. I don't know how well known she is in America, but we have like a comedian called Ruby Wax, who's an American, and she did lots of TV over here. So I don't know if she's better known over here. But I remember she used to talk to everyone. She talked to Donald Trump in the 80s. She talked to everybody. But she'd be very sarcastic and very sort of... but there was an episode she did with Liza Minnelli, and in that documentary, in walks Katie Manning, and they're just, oh, here's my friend Katie, and that, I think, as far as I know, that's the first time I realised that they knew each other. It's amazing when you read biographies and things like that, who knows each other and who's friends with people.
I get my companions mixed up, Paul. Is Kate Manning the one who sold the dirty pictures?
She is the one who posed nude with a Dalek. But she's also like the grandmother of fandom these days. She's on Twitter and everywhere, sort of, wishing everyone a good day. And she's in her late 70s now, but she's like a real inspiration. She's always very, very positive about the new show and the current show and everything. And anyway, enough about Doctor Who. We're going back to the 80s, though.
We are.
For The Boy Who Could Fly, which is a drama fantasy starring Jay Underwood, Lucy Deakins, and introducing Fred Savage. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Tell me more.
I think that was my pick. I loved this movie and watched it numerous times when I finally was able to afford a VCR. Yeah, it was one of those movies, again, a wonderful 80s movie where you have a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of magic, a little bit of canty. Is he crazy? Is he not? And then the miracle happens. But Lucy Deakins was just wonderful. Just a wonderful 80s actress. Couldn't do that much past that. No, not her own fault, I think. But also, so it had Natalie from Facts of Life.
Mindy Cohn.
And I love her. I love that she's in like the second or third incarnation of her career, and she's doing wonderful. But it was just another one of those films that just came to me that I really wanted us to watch. Sadly, Jay Underwood has turned into a right-wing nut. Sad, but we overlooked it enough to at least do this one movie, because there was another movie with him in it that we were planning on talking about, and then said, you know what, one's enough.
Too many trips to the well.
Yeah.
Your next film was just about scraped into the 80s, but it was also your last film before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Chances Are from 1989 with Sybil Shepherd and Robert Downey Jr. Of course, over here, when I think if you say Sybil Shepherd to me, I think she's done so many things. Well, I think of Moonlighting, even though Moonlighting is one of those shows that I never actually watched at the time, but it was that famous that I knew all about it, and actually would like to kind of watch it now, but it's not so easy to get hold of over here.
I hear VPNs are good for that.
That's magic. Well, what's that film? I think it was you and Toppy who introduced me to there's a Robert Downey Jr. movie set at Thanksgiving. I think.
Oh yes, that was Jodie Foster's directorial debut, Home for the Holidays.
But is this one Christmas themed, or is it not at all?
It takes place in. Well, no, actually, it doesn't take place at Christmas. I don't think so. It just gives you that nice warm feeling. And the reason I'm speaking up is because I'm responsible for this one.
Yes, he is.
I mean, we go down some dark alleys sometimes. So I'll just take the responsibility. But no, it's no secret that I lost my dad before his time, and Chances Are has the theme of people who, who pass before their time. So, Sybil Shepherd, Robert Downey Jr., and I'm forgetting his name, but this is the sci-fi nerd in me. He's the one who played the first officer on the Enterprise C in yesterday's Enterprise. Lieutenant Castillo that Tasha Yar falls in love with. But it's about, it gets a little creepy, though. I mean, this is where Matt can come in on it. The dad passes away before his time, the husband, and they're just about to have their child. Sybil Shepherd is about to have their child. They've moved into a beautiful, successful neighborhood. It's a neighborhood of District of Columbia, D.C., called Georgetown. It's all this beautiful house that to this day is still used for the exteriors of some shows.
Yeah, it's a wonderful film, and then, Sybil creates her own career and has her baby who grows up to be this beautiful young woman. And then Robert Downey Jr. is reincarnated, a long time. And then they go to college, he goes to college with her daughter. And the next thing you know, he and the daughter, his own daughter, fall in love and get married. And, it's just like, okay. Wow. So, DJ keeping, loving this movie because his father died. I guess he's waiting for his father to be reincarnated so that they can get married in the future. But thankfully Billy's there, saved him from that. Maybe.
My compromise was I just bought a house that was built the same year my parents got married.
But actually, it's a very sweet movie, and it's got wonderful people in it. It's just some of the themes are a little like, okay, we'll just overlook that.
I think my favorite thing about that movie, though, is that, a lot of stories, the good guy is the one who always suffers. The man who's honest and decent. He's not the pretty boy, so he doesn't get the girl. But in this story, the best friend, the one who held out for the grieving widow, he actually ends up winning in the end there. So there is that. But there's two things in this movie that are really special besides all the people we already mentioned. One of those is that the actress that was in Fried Green Tomatoes, I'm forgetting her name right now, played the daughter in Chances Are. And then, I don't know if maybe you know who this is, but there was an Anna Faris TV show called Mom that Allison Janney was on. One of their friends in the support group, because it's about a circle of friends who attend AA together, is played by the fabulous Mimi Kennedy. And in Chances Are, Mimi Kennedy is 80s young, some 30 plus years back, and she is playing one of the head angels in the hereafter.
Yeah. It's such a good movie.
Sounds like one I need to check out. Now, your first movie of 2025 is from the 80s. It's also got two very famous actors in it. It's Ruthless People with Danny DeVito and Bette Midler.
You have to start 2025 out with Ruthless People because that's what this year is all about.
That's true.
You're looking at the future.
Please tell me it gets better.
Yeah.
I'm only 8 hours in the future. I don't know that much.
You know what? Things in this can change very quickly in 8 hours here. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I think this one was mine. And obviously, I mean, I guess I was just in an 80s mood. Well, we both were. But yeah, this is again one of those wonderful movies where you have some horrible stuff going on, people really struggling, and then something crazy happens and a miracle, and at the end of it, all the good things happen, and you get a lot of money and you get thin. But that's the thing, is that when Bette Midler went down in that basement, she was held captive, and she's, I think, held captive by Huey and Dewey. But she has nothing to do but watch television, which is, of course, all reruns about all the get fit things. So she does her exercises, she gets thin, she's beautiful. Now, see, that's the 80s thing. It's the promise of, if you get thin, you'll be beautiful and people will like you. And then you can, make your husband pay millions of dollars because he tried to kill you. Now, this was also one of Bill Pullman's first movies. Actually, I think it may have been his first movie. Not Bill Pullman. Who am I thinking of? Was Bill Pullman?
Yes.
No. Yes?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, okay.
The Blondie.
Thank you. And, oh man, I fell in love with him in this movie. He's so cute. Anyway, yeah, so it was just one that I was like, no, we have to do this because, I mean, come on. We got to have a Bette Midler in, like, every season, right?
Mm-hmm. A little taste of things to come.
And, of course, Danny DeVito, he's just everywhere. We can't escape him. Certainly they're not in the 80s.
I mean, I had to watch something else with Danny DeVito in it because I just recently watched, what was that, Avengers movie or whatever it was, where he was the janitor. I needed to get a better image of him in my head.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, Helen Slater, Supergirl, and Judge Reinhold back when he was, like, really hot, I mean, it was such a good movie. Star power and 80s malls.
Oh, and they stole the carpet for the living room right from those malls, too.
But one of my things about this movie is who the heck decorated those homes? Oh, my gosh. They were like, oh, it's all modern. I'm like, this is hideous. I mean, this isn't even 80s good.
It looked like Pac-Man. It looked like Pac-Man exploded everywhere.
Yeah, it was tragic.
Well, your next movie, you went back to the 70s. Now, I noticed that it's a Sid and Marty Krofft production. Now, didn't they do HR Puffin stuff?
Mm-hmm. Among other things.
Among other things, yeah. I mean, I think I'm more aware of them, not from the time, but sort of, as you do, going down YouTube wormholes and things. But what you chose was The Lost Saucer from 1975.
Okay, this is a sci-fi comedy show from the mid-70s starring Ruth Buzzy of Laugh-In and Jim Neighbors from The Andy Griffith Show. We're going to be talking about The Lost Saucer. It's a Sid and Marty Krofft show, don't you know? Hang on tight, folks. We're going to lift off. Oh, hey, Matt. How's the new year treating you?
Oh, I'm here. I'm clear. I may not be able to be clear much longer, but I'm clear here now. Hey.
I mean, underground. Huh? Oh, so this is a TV show that we're going to be discussing here. From the mid-70s, so I was just but a twinkle in someone's eye. But was this possibly something that you might have caught when it was first on the air?
Okay, so interesting story about this. So the Lost Saucer, which is what we were talking about, I actually did see the first episode of it when I was a kid, like a little kid, and I never found it again. Like for years, whenever I thought about it or talked about it or whatever, like everybody just thought I was full of shit. So I actually thought that this was just something that I must have made up or seen wrong or something like that. And then they're all like, hey, let's watch blah, blah, blah. And I watched the first episode and I'm like, this is it. It's real. So I had seen like, I don't know, like half an episode or one episode of it when I was a kid and never again. And well, I'm not going to say that I missed out on anything really, but you know, nostalgia-wise and everything, was very, very fun.
I mean, our attention spans were something different when we were kiddos, and
right.
You know, it took a lot less to keep us engaged. Just shiny little.
I would have watched this when I was a kid. I would have watched it and I would have loved it.
Yeah.
But you know, now, like, if I had a kid now, I can't imagine plopping them down in front of the TV and saying, here, watch this. It'd probably be like, no, Daddy, please.
You know somebody that homeschools their children would object to this show.
I don't really know much about The Lost Saucer. Is this a TV show or is it a movie?
It was a TV show, and, you know, I was young enough that I saw reruns of it after it was off the air. You know, it wasn't terribly popular because obviously it got canceled after one season. But there were channels that didn't have anything else to show. And so whenever there was a series that had a season or two or more, they would just put it on in the afternoon or on the weekends for the kiddos to watch. So I wanted to see The Lost Saucer because just knowing that it was a one-season show that got canceled and the fact that Ruth Buzzy was in it had me intrigued. I wanted to see this thing that was so bad that it got canceled.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the thing that's funny about this to me is, well, we have a channel out here called, well, PBS. It's our public broadcasting. And it's actually where when I was younger, learned about British comedies, you know. So that's how I got my start. But they would play shows like this, and I too watched it in reruns. But the thing is I only saw like one episode of it when I was a little kid, and I always thought I dreamed it. It stuck in my head. I was like, but any time that I tried to look for this show, I could never find anything. And then here's DJ with like, hey, let's watch this show. And I'm like, oh my God, it exists. Wow, I didn't dream this. And then a few episodes later, I kind of wished I had. But it's just one of those things that actually, it was very cute. And it's for kids. So you got to forgive some of the stuff that happens. But it's got a dog with a horse head as one of its characters. It kidnaps two children from the 70s and basically takes them on a space adventure. But, you know, Ruth Buzzy, just always a delight to watch.
And, you know, it's supposed to be the future, and we've got these robots, and we're supposed to know that there's a difference in gender. Even though they're not biological beings, they're robots that have gender. Mm-hmm. And the only way that we can figure out how to represent there being a woman robot is they give her tights that are pink and purple.
Yeah. Well, and not to mention that it's the 1970s, and a lot of the themes on the episodes that I watched were eco, like talking about how, you know, the environment is being destroyed and the earth is being torn down, and, you know, horrible things are happening. We need to save the earth. Like every episode, it was about how we need to save the earth and learn to not judge people. And so it had great themes.
And civil justice too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see one of the episodes is called Land of the Talking Plants. That sounds very late season 3 Lost in Space to me, with talking carrots. I'm sure.
And of course, the episode where everybody was fat because none of them, they all had robots to work for them. So all they did is sit around and eat. I was like, oh, that's rude to me.
Sounds like, even though it didn't last very long, it kind of got packaged up in repeat seasons and stuff of their other shows. So perhaps it had a bit of a lasting, or it was certainly sort of, it wasn't just there and gone. It was sort of repeated and syndicated and things. Well, your next movie takes us back to 1984. And I feel like I may have seen this years and years ago because I recognise the title. It's The Last Starfighter, starring Lance Guest and Robert Preston. Mm-hmm. And whose choice was this?
I think this one was mine. Again, 80s films, sci-fi theme. I guess maybe I have a type. But this is another movie that as soon as I had a VCR and could afford the movie, I watched it over and over and over and over again. I absolutely loved this film. And that was just it. And Aliens, give me a good sci-fi movie, especially when I'm a kid, and I'm there for it. So, yeah.
A lot of these 80s movies are movies that I didn't see when they came out because I grew up in a family of 4. In those days, you didn't go to the movies and we didn't have rentals really around. But every winter, Mom would let Dad, as a treat, because he couldn't work outside in the winter, he could have a movie channel. So we would watch the movies that had come out the last year in the theaters at home. Mm-hmm. And I remember The Last Starfighter being one of them. But, of course, the appeal to me was, Robert Preston, the Music Man. The Music Man is wearing a cowboy hat, and he drives a car into space?
Right. Now, the funny thing is, I remember this being like such a high-powered production. And then when we were watching it again, I'm looking at it going, I think the sets were designed by Atari. So yeah, so like this is an old gaming system, and they're just acting against it, which was fine. It's still it was such a good movie that I still enjoyed it. But yeah, if it had been made now, the sets would have been much more elaborate.
Mm-hmm. And the actress who plays the grandmother in it, she was in the pilot of the original series Star Trek. She was one of the aliens with the throbbing veins on her head.
Yeah. And the odd thing about this is it did take a dark turn because it was very much kind of one of those like movies that you can show to your young teens and they're like, oh, this is really fun and everybody's fine. And then like they go to space and all of a sudden they just blow everyone up and it's like, oh, they're all gone.
Oh, not to mention the public execution scene.
Right? and then his doppelganger just like ramming the truck into somebody and blowing up. I'm like, oh dear. So it got serious real fast.
They started showing that one at 7:00. So by the time dinner was over, the kids were in bed.
Yeah.
Well, your next movie after that was from 1985. It was Return to Oz, starring Fairuza Balk, Laurie Piper, and Jean Marsh. Jean Marsh is the one I know best out of those names. Jean Marsh of Upstairs, Downstairs, and Doctor Who fame, who also, John Pertwee connection, was married to John Pertwee in the 50s. And Jean Marsh is probably one of the few people who's been in Doctor Who and The Twilight Zone. So that's my Jean Marsh facts. And she's only recently passed on. But anyway, you should tell me.
This was very much a DJ pick.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, we have this terrific home theater setup in our house here at Chateau Star Sage. We've got a 4K projector and the large screen, and we bought the box set of the anniversary of Wizard of Oz, which comes with a 3D version of it. But anyways, Return to Oz has a special place in my heart because that was my childhood. Disney had the rights to do this version of The Wizard of Oz. And if you see the little differences in the different versions of the Wizard of Oz story that have been put out there, you don't even have to watch the credits to know a different studio did this because, point of fact, the original book, Dorothy's slippers were silver. They only made them red because The Wizard of Oz came out when Technicolor was born. But Return to Oz, it has a special place in my heart because it was dark. And it's more what I think is true to the stories that Frank Baum, the author, wrote. I think this is possibly one of the reasons why I enjoy your programming over there in the UK, because it seems like the classics, at least, don't pander to the children. You don't think that they have to be sheltered from the truth. There's an important lesson to be learned. And, of course, in Return to Oz as well as Wizard of Oz, you have people who have different roles in your life, and it's like having different identities. This is the dark side of someone, and this is the real world side of them. Return to Oz, Dorothy is having bad dreams when she's come back from Oz. The fantasy's over. She's not in Oz anymore. She's having to deal with the real world. Her home was destroyed by the tornado. Her aunt and uncle are having to figure out how to get along and make ends meet. And it's set in a time frame when medicine was advancing. We are trying to understand how the mind works. And that's part of Return to Oz. They thought that Dorothy had a mental illness because she was having these bad dreams. But in secret, or in reality, she was being summoned back to Oz because things were going wrong. And it's creepy, but it's got a cult following because there are people out there that enjoy things that are dark, like the Addams Family, things that are satirical. And Dorothy is hauled off to this mental hospital where they strap her down and they're going to electrocute her.
Yeah. It's like, give the girl a lobotomy. She may be 8, but, she talks to a chicken. So, fry her brain.
She's a tough farm girl. She can make it.
I was just checking up because I was wondering if this was a production that has some sort of notoriety in that the puppeteer who played TikTok was a guy called Michael Sundin. Now, he was one of the presenters of a show called Blue Peter around the same time as he was in this. But he was an openly, well, I don't know if he was openly gay, but he was gay. And when he was found out he was gay, they found ways of getting rid of him off the show because by trumping up charges. It was a rather sad situation. And he also died young, AIDS-related issues only a few years later. But this was one of his successes that I can't remember if he did this just before Blue Peter or just after, but I always sort of remember that he was connected to a Wizard of Oz related film, and I wasn't sure if it was this one, and it was. There's also an actor who's also another puppeteer called Deep Roy, who plays the Tin Man, and he's been in everything from Doctor Who to Star Trek, and he played one of the Oompa Loompas in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. In fact, I think they may have in the version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, they may all have been clones, so he may have played all of them. But he's 132 centimeters tall, so he often plays very sort of short characters, often villains. But he played a very notable villain in a Doctor Who story called Talons of Wen Chiang. But
when I saw this on the list, I just kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, oh God, I don't want to watch that again. I saw it once, like a long time ago, and said, oh no, please. Although I did like the TikTok character in it. But rewatching it, I have more of a respect for it, and a lot of the work, and like, the director of this was the only film he ever directed. And it got panned so badly that he never directed another film again. And yet he was one of the top cinematographers in the business. Very well respected. Yeah. After we talked about this and released the show, I have seen this film everywhere. Everywhere. So many people are talking about it. So many people are like, oh, this is one of my favorite films. And, this is my, So after we talked about this, I swear we caused a big scene, and everybody started just like, oh, I love this film. It's so good. So, yeah.
I mean, if you thrive on drama and gothicness, you can't get
little children.
Right, you can't get much better than an evil witch who took the heads off of 7 statues so that she can have a different look. And she tells this 8 or 9-year-old little girl that she thinks she'll wear this one this evening. And goes to put her head back in the box.
And not to mention the little Princess Ozma, who's like the Princess of Oz, and she's like this perfect blonde little child, and she's all like, "Help me, Dorothy! Save me, save me!" And then when Dorothy actually does all this stuff to save her, then she's just all like, "Whatever, bye-bye." She turns out to be such a mean little child.
But you always had the power to go home.
Yeah, so do it. And take your chicken with you. The chicken's like, oh no, I'm staying here.
The next film you spoke about could almost be a companion piece. It's from the same year, and it's also a dark fantasy. It's Legend from 1985, starring Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, and Tim Curry. Who selected that one?
I think I put this one on here just to make myself watch it again and remember if it was good or not. I saw this in the theater. I don't know why. I think I saw it by myself. And I was a little kid, and all I remember is like them being down in a cave, Tim Curry being really scary but hot. And then I also remember the evil goblin being all like, maybe nice, maybe sweet, ain't half as nice as a rotted meat. And that's all I remembered. But then I watched it, and I'm like, okay, that's why I only remembered that, because the rest of it was kind of... it had wonderful performers in it, even Tom Cruise. This was like his first major role or first one after Risky Business.
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah.
It was before he did Top Gun.
Okay. And he actually, there were several takes of this. There was the director's take, and then there was this one that the studio kind of made happen. And he hated it. He hated it so much that he wouldn't even like do any promotions other than what he had to do about it. He wouldn't talk about it. He wouldn't watch it. But it was a very beautiful fantasy scene, but it seemed almost like there were so many issues. Like they built this elaborate full set. Like you look at the fairyland, it's all a real set. There's no green screen. And then half of it burned down. So they had to kind of, write that into the script. Well, it's just burned down. So yeah, that's why it looks like that. But it was, I'm glad we watched it, and I plan to never watch it again. But it had incredible sets, incredible cinematography, incredible. The acting was really good for what it was, but he could have just left her there. It would have been fine. Tim would have taken care of her. It's all good.
If Matt hadn't put this on the list, I was going to. My husband had drawn my attention to this movie, and for nothing more than the fact that he knew the story about the fire at the studio that engulfed the forest that they had concocted for this. So I had this on, the horizon of my attention, but when Matt put it in pencil on the list, I'm like, yes, I want to see that. And of course it gives my husband an excuse to go shopping, because he'll go buy the best version of the movie for me to see. What's interesting about this movie is not only the cast is so insanely talented, Tim Curry, and Mia Saro is, I think that's her name, the woman who plays the princess in this story. And for those of you who don't know, in the American version, the version released here in the States, they don't address her as a princess. You're just led to believe that she's some sort of a fair maiden. But anyway, the actress who plays her was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off as the girlfriend that goes around in the sports car with them. But what's interesting about Legend is that the version that was released outside of the United States had a more realistic ending. Part of the story involves this fair maiden being enchanted by the young man in the woods. I guess you might call him an elf or something, Tom Cruise's character. And it's all about how she could be getting married and having an arranged marriage, and whether or not she's going to get married for love. She wants to marry the boy from the forest, and so there's a scene in the movie that involves a ring, a promise, and that's where everything turns dark. He goes to get the ring, jumps into the lake or the pond or whatever it is, and suddenly he's in, the evil realm where Tim Curry's character comes into play. But in the version released outside of the United States, after everything is said and done, they part company, and she's like, yeah, I don't think we're going to be a good fit. So it's like, it doesn't matter the fact that she's a fair maiden and she has, a potential marriage offering. She's just like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But the other part is that Legend also has two different soundtracks, two different scores. There was the international version contained a score by a synth electro band from the 80s called Tangerine Dream. And the idea was, this is a movie from the 80s. Everything from the 80s has modern music. So they created this beautiful soundtrack, but it didn't get used in the version released in the United States. They figured the version that gets released in the United States should have this instrumental classical music sounding fantasy-oriented thing. And, surprise, it's written by Star Trek legend Jerry Goldsmith, who wrote the original Star Trek theme and a lot of the movies of the original cast.
Moving on to your next film, we are in 1996, and it's called Harriet the Spy. I don't really know this one, but it does star Michelle Trachtenberg and Rosie O'Donnell. Am I right in saying Michelle Trachtenberg was in Buffy and also quite recently passed?
I think that's why we added this, was because she passed. But I think DJ, it was
No, it was your choice.
Oh, okay. Well, again, this is a reason that I put it so that it'd make me watch it. Because there's some movies I'm like, oh, I really should watch that again. But unless we're forced to, I forget. But yes, it was because she had recently passed, and this was one of the movies that she was really known for. And I read the book when I was a kid and just absolutely loved it. And of course, had Rosie, at the height of her career-ish, sort of. And so, yeah, I just really wanted us to watch it and to see Michelle outside of Buffy, where I just didn't like her character. Oops, I said it. It was out loud. I'm sorry.
This was a film. It was a movie that came out actually the year that I was due to, have papers saying I was educated. 96 there. And this was done by Nickelodeon, which, of course, was the network that gave us dedicated programming for kids who weren't no longer in middle school. And eventually gave us teenage programming like the after school specials, although a little bit more entertainment and a little bit less preachy. But also, Harriet the Spy was based on a novel that was first published in the 60s, and we'll get back into that more in a moment here. So, Matt, what year did this come out again?
This came out in 1996.
Oh, so
it was a wonderful year. Yes.
Was it a very good year, as they say?
Actually, it was the year that I came out and began my trek toward being a journalist. So, yeah, it was a very good year.
Ah. But also, just like Matt, Rosie O'Donnell had grown up and had read the book as well. So when this was being turned into a movie, she was chomping at the bit because she wanted to play the part of the babysitter. And point of fact, Harriet the Spy came out just as Rosie O'Donnell was launching her talk show career.
Yeah.
So she was between doing TV and I believe she had also just done A League of Their Own. So she was, as to Matt's point, she was really climbing the stairs of her career at that point in time.
Right. And this was just such a fun movie to watch. I mean, it was almost an 80s movie, but, a few years late. Yeah, I'm glad we watched it. It was just one of those, and the way that the kids all came together in the end. Even the ones that you're just like, oh, I can't stand that horrible little child. And then, it kind of turns out that they're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, and what I found most appealing about the story is, yeah, it's a movie that came out in the 90s. And, okay, maybe I'm going to be getting close to my mid-century birthday, but the today's generation of kids, they don't have these stories like the kids who grew up in the 80s where you had groups of kids that got together to do things together after school, ride their bikes, go to forts, things like that. Now, they just want iPads. They text their friends. They don't go, to the bowling alley. They don't go watch movies together. I mean,
yeah, you go home, you play video games, you do on your computer. It's very rare that you have a group of friends like this, and I love that. I grew up with that, kind of too.
But, so Harriet the Spy is kind of one of the last stories that I've seen in a movie where a child has an active imagination.
And isn't, lobotomized.
Right, or on drugs.
Yeah.
Now, your next show, I'm pretty sure I know who chose this. Matt. It's Come Back, Mrs. Noah from 1977. It's a UK sci-fi comedy TV series starring Molly Sugden, which I'm pretty sure she got because she was popular on I Being Served. But I've only seen bits of it, but it's quite notorious. But I know you really are a big fan of it, Matt.
So why is it notorious?
Notorious for not being very good, but I know you love it.
I do love it. In fact, okay, so I have a little bit of autistic spectrum going on when it comes to TV shows that I watch right before I go to bed. And I have watched practically all 6 episodes, because there was only 6 episodes of the show, almost every night for like the past 6 weeks probably. I just put it on and let it run. So yeah, we were actually going to do a show called Small Wonder.
Yeah.
And I was just not looking forward to that one. But I don't remember why we changed it, but we were talking about British shows that we wanted to do, and this is one I just really wanted DJ to watch, so we ended up kind of putting it in place of the other one.
This is kind of Matt's way to make up for me putting him through the Lost Saucer.
Well, and like I said, I love this show. I think it's just and yes, I can understand it is not that well written. Like if you watch it a lot like I do, there's lines in the first 2 episodes. It's just like, they're like, okay, just go up there and just keep saying this one line, like over and over and over and over. Like she's like, Mrs. Noah is constantly like, oh, the things you can do nowadays. And I'm like, you've said that like 10 times in the last 5 minutes. So yeah, it wasn't the best show. And it really was one of those things that they ended up having to kind of dash off and try to get out there as quickly as they could, because I believe it was something about her being under contract, and they just wanted to get her doing something. But I think this would make a really great, it could be revamped into a fun show, but it could also be redone into a big musical, like a stage musical, and it would be brilliant. It's a wonderful concept. It just needed to be tweaked a little bit better. And of course, as the final episode, when they accidentally head out into space in this big ship, which, okay, the whole thing is the ship gets up there and it gets accidentally launched, and they use the craziest stuff, like they're saying, oh no, the neutrinos, or like, oh no, it's a blue 7, and oh, the gluons are becoming unstuck. The gluons, really? So, but then it gets stuck into space, and then they try to get they can build this giant city-like ship for 100 people to go 60 years into space, but they don't even have a decent shuttlecraft to like go up and get them off of it. Like, there's no other technology. You never went to the moon. Like, nothing happened. And then, of course, they end up at the last episode getting shot further into space. And I don't care. I love it. It is crazy. It is silly. And I just love it. And so I made DJ watch it.
I think that, from my perception, Come Back, Mrs. Noah is a different kind of sci-fi in that, being a British show, I think that those little things that Matt mentioned about not, having a good plan, not having the right resources and all that, I think that it is a testimony, a reflection on attitudes of the time, and it's probably a commentary on bureaucracy, because, you've got a plan for something to happen, and if you don't organize correctly, you don't have the resources, you just manage to get the horse out of the gate, and, we're not going to go very far.
All we put into, why are we clapping? All we put into space was two scientists, a housewife, a reporter, and a person who changes the light bulbs. So, but I think it's also, like, to what you were saying, kind of that Eddie Izzard skit where he talks about, talking to a kid, and the kid's like, oh, I want to grow up and be an astronaut. And he's like, oh, that's really great, but you're British. Scale it back. So, I want to be the person that changes the light bulbs. Okay, but you're British. Scale it back. So
I think if they did come back, Mrs. Noah, as a modern take, as Matt was saying, at least one of the people on the space station would have been trying to figure out how to rent their quarters on Airbnb.
I think that perhaps there's a reality or a future sort of potential timeline where Come Back Mrs. Noah ran for 12 seasons and Red Dwarf never existed. And to be fair, I'd be quite happy if that was the case. Because I'm not a fan of Red Dwarf, I'm afraid.
I am.
And I saw some episodes very recently, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is worse than I remembered."
If Come Back Mrs. Noah got 12 seasons in an alternate reality, I think that they would have figured out how to use that cloning machine, and there'd be lots of little mini Molly Sugdens.
I love that line when okay, so they're going to beam her down, or at least a reasonable facsimile of her. But why on earth did they need to go get her cat and her parrot to try to send up there? Like, it doesn't need an exchange. Why are you doing that? But they did it all for that final line where the bird, or for the parrot and the cat to get combined into one creature, and so she could say, "Oh my God, it's a carrot."
No.
So, Matt, if you could have 12 seasons of Come Back Mrs. Noah or Red Dwarf, which would you choose?
Oh, you know what? I do really love Red Dwarf, and that's another show that I actually went probably like 3 months watching every single night over and over and over. But oh God, I think I'd leave it the way it is. But I would love if Come Back Mrs. Noah had some sharper writing. I think it would have lasted longer.
What about a crossover episode?
I think that would be great. But, Molly Sugden said, too, she's like, I love doing Come Back Mrs. Noah, but you're not getting me at this age back up in those, like, chains to fly across.
Oh, right.
Stuff, too. She's like, I'm too old for that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, well, after that flight of fancy, we move to 1992 for Death Becomes Her with Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn. Now, I think I saw this at the cinema, but I haven't seen it since. But who selected this one?
I can't remember. Sometimes we agree that we're both similarly deranged.
Yeah. This was a fun one. I don't know which one of us put it on there, but I know that we both wanted to see it, and it's still just as fun as it was in the theater or in the when we first saw it. But I actually did see a version of the live theater one of it, and it's just as fun. The live musical is just as fun as the movie, but it has the original ending that the movie was going to have, but they changed to make it more, I don't know, what they thought would be more palatable, I guess, to audiences.
More acceptable to simpler minds. Matt and I have discussed this philosophy that modern cinema keeps things simple because we don't believe that people can come up with their own conclusions.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, sometimes you watch things and you think the twists are so obvious. But I think that's probably because we're cleverer than modern audiences. We are modern, but we're also ancient, and we we know all the twists, so we expect quite a lot. And then it's disappointing when filmmakers are using twists that are come on.
Yeah.
But Death Becomes Her is one of those stories that is sort of it's a kind of an anomaly, a phenomenon, because 90s we figured that's too recent to have anything special from it. It's like people for the longest time have considered the Rocky Horror Picture Show to be a cult film. It's got its own following, its own fan base. But now, the 90s are not recent enough anymore that this is a new sort of a classic. You know, it's very gothic. It's got two best friends who are always stealing each other's lovers over time. And they're always trying to settle a score. One is always trying to outdo the other. And, you know, what is the ultimate prank? You know, to fake your own death. Well, they didn't have to fake it. But, you know, one didn't know that the other one figured out the secret. And Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep as best friends is brilliant casting.
Yes. Not to mention one of the most iconic lines that you still hear people say is like, now a warning? And you know exactly where it came from.
You took the potion. Years before you, I didn't even need it.
You shot me.
Who loses a whole can of spray paint?
It's wonderful.
But of course, the best scene in the whole movie is when Meryl Streep's character is the woman who's been neglected. She's shooting her mouth off at Bruce Willis, thinking that she's got the upper hand. But unbeknownst to her, she slid backwards on the stairs and her high heels are skirting the edge. And she thinks for a moment that she can turn this little poison conversation around and her loving husband's going to save her.
Nope.
In fact, he even helps her a little bit with a little nudge.
That's in the live action, the live theater musical version. That scene, they swap it out. They swap the actress out for a stunt double, and have it on wires, but the whole time that they're going down the stairs, turning over and over and doing all these acrobatic, it's just hilarious.
In fact, I think I've seen a feature that you can watch online that shows you some of the, theater magic that they've done to adapt this particular show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty magical. And, one of the hidden gems of Death Becomes Her was Isabella Rossellini as the woman who was behind the whole cult of this potion. And she's, a lot of people don't know, she's got a famous parent. She's Ingrid Bergman's daughter. So she's this very vivacious young woman. And she even gets accused of being her own age in the script. Meryl Streep gets asked how old she thinks Liesel is. And when she tells her, she is just aghast, when in reality, it's within a year of Isabella Rossellini's actual real age when she's making the movie.
Yeah.
Moving on to your next film, I can hear the call of Toppy Smelly. He'd be very pleased. This is a film from 1948, Rope. It's an Alfred Hitchcock film starring James Stewart, which I must admit, even though I've seen a lot of Alfred Hitchcock, I've still never seen Rope, but I've heard a lot about it, and I really must.
Well, anyway, so last time we did the big reveal and we told you what we were going to discuss next, and I'll go ahead and do a redo for you here so you know what we're going to talk about. Two men try to convince themselves they've committed the perfect murder by hosting a dinner party after strangling a former classmate to death. We're going to be discussing the 1948 crime drama mystery thriller. This is an Alfred Hitchcock film, and it stars, among others, Mr. James Stewart. Put yourself in for a spell. We're going to be discussing Rope from 1948. Oh, 1948.
Wow, what a wonderful year.
I mean, that was before either of you, maybe even our folks, were a twinkle in some eyes there.
Actually, that's the year my dad was born, but my mom wasn't even born yet. No.
Ah, well, they call that the silent generation because
my father was never
in
silent.
they weren't the kids that grew up in the Depression, and they weren't the baby boomers yet. They were the silent generation, is what I've heard. But anyways,
pretty depressed.
I mean, it was that generation that told you you're not going to leave the table until you've eaten everything on your plate. Be thankful for what you got.
I don't know. They usually just told me, "Shut up! You'll never amount to anything." Oh,
right. And children.
Here we are in a video store.
Right. Children should be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
Who selected this one?
You're actually part right there. Sometimes when you're drawing from the hat, you've got to make sure that it's been cleaned out because there could be tickets in there from the last round. This was an ode to Toppy. We picked this because we hadn't done a film beyond
outside the 80s,
the 70s and 80s. Yeah, so we figured, why not baffle our listeners and give them something we've not done in a while? So we do 1948, but there is a special background to this story because it involves two men who may be more than roommates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually this and the next film were part of our Pride Month. So we're here in June, so we were able to have that wonderful theme. But this actually, Rope was originally a British play, and it played over there as gay roommates, which was very, very odd because it was 1940s. And of course, it wasn't super popular, but Hitchcock loved it, wanted to do it, and then the studio basically said, sure, we'd love that, but they ain't gonna be gay. You need to change that up. Of course, you watch the film and you're like, oh, they're so gay. So he managed to make it gay. But, and then they had, of course, Jimmy Stewart was in this, and he's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be in a gay movie, but he was once they changed it. But it was really fun.
The most succinct thing that can be said about Rope in reality, since we are talking about films that had a spirit of pride in them, if you think about it, Rope is actually a threesome gone wrong.
That's quite true. But one of the funniest things was the movie starts out with this guy yelling out, "Ah!" like he's been shot or stabbed or something, and then you find out he's been strangled. I'm like, how the hell did he yell? He was strangled, yeah, and then they stuff him in a trunk and have dinner over him. It's brilliant. That's very gay. But one of the things that was really interesting that Hitchcock did was this entire movie looks like it's been pretty much shot just in one long long shot, like it's almost like, and there's scenery outside the window that you can see at the skyline change from mid-afternoon into dusk. So there's some very subtle effects that are very Hitchcockian.
I think that the most, I don't know if it's fun, but the most obvious thing to me during that story was, of course, they are more than roommates because they go to the bedroom and there's two men there, but there's only one bedroom.
Right.
And then during the course of the story, at one point, a gun is shot deliberately to cause attention. And we don't know what floor of the building they're in, but we know that this is, Manhattan or something that they're in. They make it clear that it's a very nice apartment. It's very expensive. But yet, somebody has to yell for the police. Don't they think they heard the gun?
Right. And yeah, the people yelling outside the window, "Oh my God, I heard a gun. Oh, I'm going to call the police." Like, okay, you look like you're way high up. How are we even hearing the people yelling? Oh, and of course, they're all going to go to, the two boys after they've done this horrible deed. They're going to go to the mom's ranch and hang out together for the weekend. We're just going to have a little trip as friends.
Tickling the ivories.
Yeah. And then the one partner, when they're all like, all they did was like ask him, "How are you? Are you feeling well?" "I'm fine." He just like freaks out. And it's like, dude, all he did was like ask you if you want more wine. You're like, "Yeah." Well.
You just know that if there was a modern production of this, Nathan Lane would be him.
And it's like you knew which partner was going to crack, which one was the real psycho, and which one was the one who's going to say, "Yes, I did all of it." Yeah.
So your other Pride film was Bro from 2022, so quite a recent one.
Yeah.
That was a romantic comedy. Tell me about that one.
So I chose that one. I just wanted us to do something. I saw this in the theater and I loved it, and I've been wanting to watch it again. And I thought it would be perfect for us to watch like during Pride. And it's wonderful. It's just one of those wonderful films that it's very modern gay. And well, we'd been in the 80s, we'd been back to 1948. We needed to kind of come up in time a little bit and see what was going on. But how did you like it, DJ?
I loved it. I mean, Billy Eichner is a more recent favorite of mine. One of the reasons that I watched it, Matt told me about it and I'd heard about the movie, but one of the reasons I watched it is, of course, Billy Eichner's in the lead role in it. And just a few years before, I had watched a series that's been available on Hulu for a while called Difficult People. It was him. It was sort of a best friends scenario. These two best friends living in a big city, but they have this sort of a trademark sarcastic humor that Billy Eichner is known for. And anybody who's a John Waters fan will tell you who Ming Stoll is. But Ming Stoll was on Difficult People as one of the best friend's mother's patients. The mother was a therapist. But anyways, Billy Eichner is in this movie, and you have a lot of queer sort of cameos in it. You're going to have to forgive me because I can't remember the names, but there was that up-and-coming multi-season show about a high school choir, Glee.
Yeah.
And they had a PE teacher who was a lesbian, Coach Beast.
And who transitioned into a man, by the way.
Okay. I didn't watch the later seasons, but, when I saw Bros, I was like, oh my God, it's Coach Beast!
Yes.
And then there's this wonderful cameo when Billy's character meets his boyfriend's family when they come to town. They're all conservative, and he's supposed to be toning down his gayness, and that sets him off. That's an important point in the story. But Billy's character meets his boyfriend's family, and the actress who plays his mom, she was in the heyday of her career in the 90s on Married with Children. She played the lesbian neighbor, and she's a conservative school teacher who is not quite sure that her middle school students are old enough to know what gay is. And that was just a terrific part of the story. But one of the biggest part of the story of Bros is that they are opening a queer history museum. Billy Eichner's character is sort of the curator of that, and they want to put people through a journey that helps them to have an experience going into this museum. And, well, I think her name is Amanda Beers, I think, if I'm right.
Yeah.
That played the neighbor on Married with Children.
Yep.
This conservative school teacher who's not quite sure that her middle school students are old enough or mature enough to know about gay people goes through this part of the exhibit at the museum where she gets scored on the Kinsey scale, and she learns that she may not quite be straight.
And there's so many good cameos, including, I'm going to mess up his name, right? Jai Rodriguez. He was one of the original Queer Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Jai, was that his name? And then of course, we have Grace from Will and Grace, who the whole theme for her is, I am not Grace. It's a part I played. I don't care about your life. Stop. All these gay men just want to talk to me about their problems. I'm not Grace. So, yeah. I mean, just cameo after cameo after cameo. And then, of course, the gorgeous Luke McFarlane played the love interest in that. And he was jacked during this time. He just ripped, hot as you could be.
And the one thing that I will say about Bros that should make everybody watch it is if you don't have any interest in the actors playing the parts, you're going to get all those cameos that we mentioned that are nice little surprises along the way. But there's a really sweet ending that you don't necessarily expect to be in a queer story like this. Right. We're so used to the idea that our stories can't be happy. This happens to be a love story that just happens to have gay people in it.
Right. Oh, and don't forget Harvey Fierstein is in it.
Oh, yes.
The mother of the modern gay cinema, yes.
Oh, they go to Fire Island, and Harvey Fierstein's character is talking about the good old days, and it's beautiful because he has a picture of all his former lovers and or friends that passed during the AIDS epidemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he shows this beautiful display of photos, and he's like, they're all dead now. Or they're all gone. So it addressed it without beating us over the head with it.
Your next film was from 1973. It was The Sting, with Paul Newman and Robert Redford, which I have failed to see, even though I've certainly been aware of it. But
you're not missing anything.
Oh dear.
Oh, yeah, this was one of DJ's.
I was going to say, you're going to say it's my fault.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to be too mean for the film, because I know it was a huge hit. I mean, they won awards for it, like major awards, and it was a huge film and so beloved by 3 or 4 people. But you had beautiful actors. I mean, Robert Redford and Paul Newman. I mean, oh my God, it was just, they were beautiful. And then you had a cast. I mean, you had Ray Walston, you had Eileen Brennan, you had these the big guy. What was his name?
Oh, he was in Home for the Holidays.
They played
Charles Durning. Yeah.
You had an amazing cast. You had a brilliant director. You had a great sets. I mean, they actually filmed on streets of Chicago, I think it was, for the first part of it. And yet you got the biggest, boy, it was like watching paint dry. You're just like, oh my God, do something already. And the whole thing was about setting up a scam. So you're like, oh, that's exciting. And no, it wasn't.
This is one of those movies that it's kind of like the checkout stand, at the stores in the days gone by. You go through and you see the eye candy on the cover of the tabloid or whatever, and you're like, "Ooh, this looks scandalous. I'm gonna buy it so I can read this in there." And it's like, this is just all full of pie recipes and crocheting.
Yeah, it was.
But it's worth it. only to see Eileen Brennan chew the scenery.
Well, and Ray Walston, he brought it alive for 3 minutes. But it's a classic. I'm glad we saw it. Now I know what I wasn't missing. So yeah.
I mean, you get to see some prankery in there, like some frat boy stuff, because Paul Newman's character is drunk in the portion of the movie that he's introduced, which takes a good 10 minutes in, I think. But Robert Redford gets to dunk him in the bathtub to sober him up.
Yeah, that was fun.
The next film you spoke about was How to Beat the High Cost of Living from 1980, starring Susan St. James, Jane Curtin, and Jessica Lange. I don't really know this one at all. What can you tell us?
Oh my. Well, I want to take responsibility for this one because it's actually a good one. But Matt and I are both in agreement that we adored the 80s sitcom Kate and Allie that I've talked about in the past of this show, or at least of Matinee Minutiae. Who's holding the microphone here, Paul? But How to Beat the High Cost of Living is sort of Susan St. James and Jane Curtin's audition for being able to collaborate in a way. I mean, it's a handful of years before Kate and Allie is made, but with Jessica Lange on board, this is sort of a precursor to the First Wives Club. These women have all been wronged by men, and they've only recently become, I guess you call emancipated, in that, it was only in 1974 that in the States here, women got the right to have their own bank accounts. But How to Beat the High Cost of Living is all about the fact that the economy was in a bad place, and these women who are used to running their households are trying to find ways to make ends meet. And even though each of the women in the story come from a different, path in life, they all find themselves having to rely on each other to, accomplish this. They come up with this idea that we're going to get rich quick. And Matt, how did they do it?
Well, so there was a contest. Actually, the mall, their mall was having, was it a 1-year anniversary or an anniversary? And so they, all the shops were like throwing all their money into this big ball that, was, they had all this money in it in the middle of the mall. And it was a contest, and whoever won was going to get all this money. And, well, they decided, no, that's our money. And they did it by drilling a hole underneath the ball to take all the money. But they had to have a distraction because there's a lot of people there. So Jane Curtin, she provided that distraction by taking off all her clothes in the mall. And everybody was like, oh, my God. It was a body double. Don't worry. Jane was safe. But
her policeman boyfriend was there to see.
Dabney Coleman, who was looking mighty fine in that movie. So it was very interesting, though, because this script was actually originally shot in 1970, and nobody wanted it. They were like, And then finally a studio picked it up in what I think it was like 78. It got the green light to go. It was finished in 79. It was actually released in 1980. And, well, it still had the sensibility of a 70s or 1970 kind of film, because basically the whole thing was, we're going to be emancipated, we're going to get all this money, we're going to solve all the problems in our life, and then we can get married to men and be happy little homemakers. So yeah, that was like, okay, didn't that defeat your whole premise? But it was still a really fun movie, and they were terrific in it. Absolutely terrific.
I mean, if nothing more than the fact that you got to see Jane Curtin making a prank phone call to the phone company, or not the phone company, the power company, to get her power turned back on, because in 1980 they had not yet put in the safety measures on a home garage's door to let you be able to lift the door when the power was out. So she was desperate. She needed to meet her friends at the scene of the heist. And who answers the phone at the power company, Matt?
Actually, I forget. Very famous young man.
African-American comedian. What's the act of turning a pancake over?
Oh, I'm forgetting. Oh, Flip Wilson. Oh, that's right. It was Flip Wilson. How could I forget that? He was brilliant in it, too. He's like, after she told him this big story about, like, how her mother was going to die if her oxygen machine wasn't turned back on, he's like, that's great, lady.
I've been here 10 years, and this is the best story I've ever heard.
So she was stuck because she couldn't get her garage door open. Because if you don't have electricity back in the 70s, you ain't getting out of your garage. That's all it is. I was just like, drive through it, but she didn't. So, yeah.
I mean, she was rich, or at least her ex-husband was. He could have replaced it.
Right. And that's the thing. Her husband, she was married to a rich, like, dentist, I think it was.
Architect.
That's what it was. Rich as all get out. All she did all day was like go shopping and come home to her 3-story house. And he runs off with the secretary. It leaves her with nothing. I was like, go sell some of your jewels. Go sell that ottoman. I mean, fetch a good $1,000. But nope, she's gonna go steal some money from the mall.
There was probably a sports car in the garage she could have sold.
Right?
Or a DeLorean.
Yeah, that'll come into style in a few years.
Well, we only have another 3 films to discuss before the end of the season. And this one is from the other end of the 80s. I don't know, I'm guessing this is a DJ choice, but it may not be. Yeah, it's called Vibes from 1988. Stars Cyndi Lauper, Jeff Goldblum, and Peter Falk, Peter Columbo Falk, and Jeff Fly Goldblum, and Cyndi, one of DJ's favourites, Lauper. That's the only reason I'm saying it's DJ's choice. I might be completely wrong.
Well, this phone call was a party line.
Yeah,
we actually both agreed on this one.
I think this is where we took out that other Jay Underwood film, and we just hadn't replaced it. And we were talking about how much we love Cyndi and Vibes and everything, so we just ended up sticking in Vibes.
So we are, of course, in summer. And we're between the holidays, so there's really not much to, party down or get down and party about. But the movie that we're going to discuss today is a summer film. And if you missed the last episode here, we told you about what was coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and remind you about the film that we are discussing here today. 2 psychics are hired to find the location of a lost Incan city located somewhere in the Ecuadorian mountains that is said to hide a great treasure. This is the film debut of 80s pop icon Cyndi Lauper and the continuation of the career of the man who came to us in The Fly, Jeff Goldblum. Today, we're going to be discussing the 1988 adventure comedy romance Vibes. Ooh, I got a hole in my heart that goes all the way to China.
But yeah, definitely both of us. We are big Cyndi Lauper fans.
We can both just quote the whole movie. We actually
pretty much.
We actually did an in-joke before we gathered here today. Matt said, we're all ready to go. He called me time traveler because that comes into play in a little bit here in our season. But then I did a callback to The Last Starfighter. I said, time traveler, starfighter, whatever you want. Because that's one of the lines that Cindy has in the movie is, she's like,
"Count on me, drawn me,
drawn me. You want? Oh yeah, you're gonna ask me to do something really weird."
Yep. I said Paul's gonna ask us to do something really weird.
So you're Peter Falk in this conversation. But this
my best kind of impression.
this movie for my case holds a special place in my heart because, as I said in our episode about the movie, I had birthday money to spend, and I had a choice to make. I either was going to buy a Gizmo doll from the movie Gremlins, or Cyndi Lauper's debut solo album. And so, of course, fate was sealed. I bought Cindy's album. And I was in my younger years, and I couldn't comprehend the idea of an artist, a musician, having more than one album. So when I found out that not only did she have a second album, but she was in a movie, and, back then, MTV was in its heyday, and you knew that it's what you wanted to watch because mom and dad didn't want you watching it. So I would watch this, and there was so much promotion of this movie. They actually had a giveaway, and you can look it up on YouTube. There's a historic, there's a history behind all the giveaways that MTV did back in the day, and how the prizes were supposed to be terrific, but it ended up being something terrible. And that was the thing with Vibes, was that they were going to give away an island off of the coast of Puerto Rico, and they maybe really didn't have the authority to do that. But Vibes, just the cast. I mean, it's something for everybody. If you didn't love Cindy, you knew Jeff Goldblum looked pretty with his shirt off, or maybe you wanted to see Peter Falk in this movie, but it's just
Julian Sands.
Julian Sands.
Yeah.
But it was so odd and twisted to me, just because watching TV, this was so heavily promoted. I included some clips of the commercials for this movie in our episode, where Cindy is on TV and she's got her hands on the screen. And she's like, put your hands on the screen and I'll take total control of your mind. And it was just so, off and twisted. It's just like, I have to watch this to see find out what happens.
I have a question now. The Gremlins, that you were considering buying if you hadn't got the Cyndi Lauper album, the Gremlins react to water. I just wonder what would happen if you put a Cyndi Lauper album in water. Would it turn into a heavy metal album?
Whatever it would turn into, it would be great because it's Cindy. Yeah. No, I couldn't wait when this movie came out. I just couldn't wait to see it, and I didn't get to see it in the theater, I don't think, but man, I got myself a copy of the VHS as soon as I could, and I watched this over and over. And honestly, let's be honest, it's not the best of movies, but it has Cyndi Lauper in it, so it's a really great movie. And I watched all the Good Morning America interviews. I watched all the on the location stuff that they did, and her holding an umbrella in the rain in the Andes, and they were just waiting so that they could actually shoot the thing. And it faced a lot of challenges, but it was Cindy, and it will always have a special place in my heart.
I mean, let's be honest, it was a Peter Falk story that they just plopped the guests into, and it just happened to work out as Cindy's first film. And in defense of pop culture icons, I have nothing against Madonna, but at least Cindy's first film was not a remake.
That's true. Oh,
Madonna's...
and don't forget that this was the second movie that we talked about that had Elizabeth Pena in it.
Yes, because Battery's Not Included had Elizabeth Pena in it. And so we sort of did this. Actually, they came out really close together. I think they were both 87, 88-ish. But yeah, Madonna's first movie was a remake of a Katharine Hepburn movie called Bringing Up Baby. And, you know, in light of the discussion here,
Gatsby Seeking Susan is also it's also a remake of a really long French movie that I have a copy of that is very surreal. So it sounds like it was cobbled together from a number of different sources.
But of all the quotable lines that are in this movie, I think that the one that if I saw it in a commercial would make me want to see the movie. Matt, you could tell me if you know the line. When they're in the cafeteria at the university and Sylvia, Cindy's character, asks Jeff Goldblum's character about whether or not he has a girlfriend. Do you remember that line?
Yeah.
Hey, wait until I offer before you turn me down.
I wasn't sure whether you're going with what he said, but yeah, that's the thing. I actually still hear this line sometimes when I'm like out and about, and I'll just hear it in my head. Hey, wait till I offer before you turn me down.
Yeah. Because Cindy said, your
girlfriend Sylvia. Okay, she's bouncy with another guy.
I'm
trying to be as delicate. Yeah.
And that's the terrific part, is that she's talking to both him, but also to the third person, which is her spirit guide, because she's a little special. She's touched. That's her psychic ability, is that she has a spiritual guide. And she's like talking to Jeff Goldblum's character, and then she says, I'm trying to make this as delicate as I can. And she's actually talking to her spirit guide when she says that.
Yeah.
But it's just such a... a character moment. They've got chemistry, even though there was some strife apparently on the set because Cindy actually went to an acting coach, and apparently Jeff Goldblum may have just phoned it in.
So one of the problems is not only was the script being changed, like almost every day they would rewrite parts of it. But she's like, this is my first movie. She went to her acting coach. She learned how to do these little techniques. She learned how to memorize the dialogue to say the dialogue. And then he would come up and ad-lib a bunch of stuff and not even deliver a word of the stuff, what was written. And she did not have the experience to know how to go along with ad-libbing. She's like, I'm trying to do the script here. I'm trying to act. And he's just rambling like a madman. And so she was not happy with him during that film.
But to end the conversation on that note, she calls you Honey Muffin and I can't call you Stretch?
So your penultimate film from the season was from 1989. It's another Steven Spielberg film with Holly Hunter, Richard Dreyfuss, and John Goodman. It's always from 1989. Isn't this one of Audrey Hepburn's last films? I'm a big Audrey Hepburn fan, although it's one I've never seen.
Yes, it was.
And who selected this one?
I think I led, and Matt said sure.
Yeah. I was like, that's another one that I've been kind of meaning to try to watch again, but this will give me a reason to. Yeah.
This is a movie that I became aware of because my dad loved old movies, and when you come from a family with lots of kids and you don't get to go to the movies, you learn that this is a remake of an old movie because they'll be able to show you that old movie on TV. So I saw that the 1943 movie that this was based on called A Man Named Joe, and then I saw this when it came out a few years later. But it's like Holly Hunter's in this. How bad could it be? Anything that I've watched Holly Hunter in, she's always been the best performer. It's like I can't blame her for her co-stars.
Right. But yeah, this one had Richard Dreyfuss and John Goodman in it, and you're like, the three of them together in a movie with Steven Spielberg directing. How could you possibly go wrong?
And, you know, I won't say that there's anything bad per se about this movie. I mean, like a lot of the movies that we discuss, it's the experience of watching it. It's
right.
Like, okay, this maybe didn't do well at the theater, but it has a terrific cast. The potential was there. So maybe somebody else could have done better with this. But, you know, John Goodman plays a terrific best friend.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful scene in the movie, which it's a little bit dated, but even in 1989 when this came out, it rang true with the real world then. He says, after his friend passes away, spoiler, Richard Dreyfuss plays the pilot that ends up dying in the movie fairly early on, because that's part of the story. He's sort of a guardian angel as the story progresses. But John Goodman's character says to his friend's grieving girlfriend, he's like, I miss him too, and I don't normally like guys like that.
Yeah. And, you know, John Goodman was just the standout in this. The other two were great for their parts, but John Goodman, I think this role really highlighted him and some of his range early on. I mean, he actually wasn't able to do this film because he was also doing Roseanne and Arachnophobia, and I think there was actually another movie too that he was doing at the same time. So he had to get special kind of permission to be able to do this movie. But Richard Dreyfuss and Spielberg loved the original film, A Man Named Joe, so much that they didn't want to deviate hardly anything. They basically wanted to modernize it, but make it almost a complete remake. And I think that kind of took away a little bit, because this was the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, where I don't have it in front of me. But they, you know, women were like emancipated at that point. You wanted to see Holly Hunter's character have more of a role that defined her outside of a relationship. And except for actually flying the plane, she didn't. So I think that kind of took away from more of the modern storytelling. But yeah, so they loved the film. It was a nice little film. There were some things that were a little like, about it to maybe our sensibilities now. But for its time, it was just a nice little film.
You would think that the plot point of Holly Hunter's character being a woman pilot would potentially be the modern angle of the story. But in reality, the 1943 version also had a woman pilot, so that wasn't what needed to be updated.
Right.
The attitudes and the relationships and the levels of support, those needed to be changed. If it had been modernized to that point, maybe it would have done better at the box office. Not a bad movie. It had a good heart. And they had a pretty boy in it that unfortunately has had some collaborations with Kirk Cameron.
Yeah, I was going to say the only other thing that needed to be changed was maybe swapping out the love interest there. You know what? I'm sure that he did fine. He was a good actor, but he has some dubious leanings that kind of made us go, And when you watch his he did a lot of films before he actually passed away from COVID, which was really sad. But he had a good long list of films that nobody had heard of, so except for the Kirk Cameron films.
What part did Audrey Hepburn play? Was it more of a smaller role, or?
It was. It was a cameo. She was an angel in this film, because there's a crisis of identity, of faith, when the character of Pete, who is the pilot that's played by Richard Dreyfuss, when he passes away, because his character has a reputation for being a hotshot. And so he takes too many risks and he dies before his time. And Audrey Hepburn's character is an angel who has to sort of coach him because he's going through this process of accepting and understanding that he's no longer living, and his purpose in existence is to mentor and to help those who are living.
Mm-hmm. Well, your final film, your season finale, which you've only recently recorded, is Somewhere in Time from 1980, starring Christopher Reeves, Jane Seymour, and Christopher Plummer. It's a period drama, fantasy romance, and who selected this one?
That would be me. I saw this a few years ago for the first time, and it's a very specific movie. You know, like a lot of our choices, it wasn't popular in the theaters, but it had eye candy. It had Christopher Reeves in it, Superman, and Jane Seymour. So this had all the makings of a Hallmark movie, if you will, but it actually has its own fan base. Matt, you mentioned that while we were recording it.
Yeah, the two things is that one, it may not have done super well here, but in Asia, especially China and Hong Kong, it played for 18 months in the theaters. It was super, super popular and made so much money there. And then actually, I had talked about this on one of my other podcasts, and my cohort, Tom, was actually one of the projectionists in a theater at this time. And he said that the place was always packed and always with mothers and daughters and like women of that certain age that would just come and see the movie over and over. So even if it didn't do super well here, it had its following, and now it has a cult following. And yeah, what an interesting film. I'll let you talk about it first, DJ. Well, since it was your pick.
I would say, because I actually just recently edited this, it's now available to listen to. But, on your point of this being popular in the Far East, I think I understand why. And Matt and I actually came up with this point during the discussion. Now, not only do you have Christopher Reeves and you have Jane Seymour as a couple, but the third wheel is played by Christopher Plummer. And the dynamic is that Jane Seymour's character is an aspiring actress. She's in her heyday.
In the 1920s.
Right. Long before Christopher Reeve's character, a playwright, ever walked this earth. And he has to go back in time to meet her. But Christopher Plummer's character, the manager, is very manipulative. And we believe that there are certain elements that aren't expressed in the movie that may be part of the book that explains the relationship between the young actress and her manager a little bit more. And I think that that's maybe what appeals to a Far East audience, where culturally arranged marriages are more the norm, or at least used to be in terms of history. So with the idea that this young woman has an overbearing older man in her life, it probably, it sort of mirrors some of the cultural aspects there. But that's part of the story there, Paul, is that Christopher Reeves plays a young playwright who on the opening night... 1980s, who on the opening night of his play in college meets up with this mysterious older woman who comes to his cast party, of all things. She doesn't just come to the play. She comes afterwards when, it's just all of his familiars around him. And she approaches him with this pocket watch. And she says, "Come back to me." And then basically scampers off. Lo and behold, we come to find out she was on death's doorstep. And he was so intrigued by her appearance that drives him to research who she was. And then, of course, it comes full circle. It becomes the cause of him going back in time so that he could actually meet her.
Yeah.
And it's beautifully set in a sort of a resort destination. It's an island off of Michigan that is preserved for history's sake. There's no electricity on that island, and cars are not allowed either. Everyone gets by horse and carriage.
And it's very interesting that there are certain things like the outside of the hotel looks like it's this huge, grand, giant building, and inside it just looks like this tiny little space. And of course, there's this one focus, and it's a painting of her, the famous, almost famous actress. There are some things in this movie that just don't add up. A lot, actually, that just does not add up. But it means well. And, I mean, Christopher Reeves and, of course, Jane
Seymour.
Wonderful, yes. Wonderful performances. They acted their little socks off. And Christopher Reeve actually said the two movies that he thought he would always be remembered for would be Superman and Somewhere in Time. And pretty much those are the top movies that he's going to be remembered for.
Aside from that TV Children of the Corn movie.
Not to mention Noise is Off, but again, Somewhere in Time,
Take notes, folks. That might not be the last you hear of those movies.
Okay, name another Christopher Reeves movie other than the Supermans and the ones we just mentioned.
You got me.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen one with Michael Caine, which I've seen.
Christopher Reeve movies. There we go. There's Rear Window, of course. Yeah, it's going to be one of those. But it was like The Mousetrap or something.
I'll put it in. Michael
Death Trap.
Death Trap, yes, nearly Mousetrap. Well, we're almost at an end now, but I do have 3 questions before we say goodbye. Oh. The first is, if you could make a decision, which was your favourite, each of you, which is your favourite film from this season?
I think that I would just have to say Vibes, because we both loved it.
And Matt?
Favorite from this season? Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, I'd go with Vibes too, just because we connected with it so much.
Well, that's it for season 7, but season 8 is on the horizon and is swiftly approaching. Anything you can tell us about season 8?
Well, I hear tell that there's going to be a little bit more development on the setting of where this show takes place. Anyone who's paid attention, maybe, that we're in a video store in a dead mall, and our boss, she just bought a trailer park out back. So we're going to have all sorts of interesting characters showing up. And I hear that from time to time, there's a mysterious TV repairman truck that's been appearing outside the building. And there may be some developments there. Now,
as far as shows, I would give you one show that you might know, Mulberry.
Sitcom with Carl, what's his name?
Yeah, him.
I think I remember my mum watched that. The only reason I didn't, I was either at university or living in a house with no TV. And I just had to watch old Dark Shadows videos and Home and Away that my mum recorded for me. But I remember Mulberry to a certain extent. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mustn't say too much because that's
spoilers, sweetie.
Right.
Well, it sounds like season 8 is going to be. I'm sure it'll be a miscellaneous treat. But before we go, you should both tell the listeners, in case they don't know, what other shows you do other than Matinee and Minutiae.
Well, I do a solo show It's the adventures of a modern-day jester, because I'm sort of a class clown. I like to make people laugh. And, sometimes I just take a tumble through life, kind of like this past year. My solo show is called Surely You Jest, because you've got to be kidding me. You can't have that much bad luck in real world.
And Matt, what about you?
So I do a podcast called Chubb's Gone Wild, which is basically entertainment, comedy, and positivity about body issues and body types. And I do that with my friend Tom. We just recently were able to do our 600th episode, which was very fun.
Cool.
And I do another show called The Big Gay Sex Show. And that is with my friend Ouija. And we basically talk about sex education and being gay experiences, etc., etc. And on my Patreon, I do a little show called My Life in Fragments, but it is gated behind a paywall. So you have to subscribe to be able to get that one, and that's me talking about the boring things that happen in my life.
Find out what brand of detergent Matt uses.
That's right.
Well, thank you guys, and I'm sure blink and it'll be the end of season 8, and we'll be here again next year talking about season 8, but it is been really good to hear you talking about season 7, and I'm glad it's been a successful year for you both. And well, we'll have to say goodbye, I'm afraid, listeners. Plenty of shows in the can, and we'll be back again soon. Okay, goodbye Matt, goodbye DJ, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Cheerio.
Bye. Toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
And Paul, don't forget to ask Matt to send you the file.
Yeah.
I gotta go now. Bye. Gotta go. Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Yes, goodbye.
Wow. Really? No kidding.
Thank you, darling. And you too. Bye-bye.
Oh, that sounded good.
That was beautifully done.
Oi, oi, that's your lot.
Bye. Oh, everyone's a critic.
This is just the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Well, gotta tell you, I didn't expect that.
What the hell just happened on the show? I mean, seriously, reverse it, because I lost it. What's going on? What happened?
Man, was that worth it or not? Oh my goodness, that was a darling little shoe. Whoa, I love that one. Great show, Paul. Yep, that was a good shoe.
We're going to have some orange squash and exciting life.
Et voila. You can always call me.
This movie is a early 80s film. It's a tragedy, drama, with some fantasy and romance. It has that good-looking guy that put on the cape for Superman, and up-and-coming Jane Seymour that was, not only in Battlestar Galactica, but the Dr. Quinn medicine woman there. Well, this is a movie by the director that did the Supergirl movie a few years later. Today we're going to be discussing Somewhere in Time. It's about a Chicago playwright who uses self-hypnosis to travel back in time and meet the actress whose vintage portrait hangs in a grand hotel. Okay, Somewhere in Time, folks. And away we go!
What do you get
when two movie
and TV nerds
wander aimlessly through dead malls, movie theaters, and drive-ins,
and talk about
their favorite shows along the way.
It's time
for Matinee Minutiae
with your hosts, DJ
and Matt.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. Find more shows over at pride48.com.
Oh dear, what's going on now? Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast. Let's go.
I have a voice. I have a voice. You have a voice. You have a voice. We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
That is so cringe, oh my god.
You're a man of culture as well.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yankee!
Take care. Sorry, I lost my list of what happened next.
Mostly 80s stuff.
Okay, stopping recording now.